Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Gunstreetwiringshop.com.
Oh yeah, boy. They make all kinds of wiring harnesses for all kinds of guitars. If you have special needs or you have questions, you hit them up and they will help you out and help you understand exactly what you need. I know that because I did it.
Yeah, have you installed your wiring harness yet?
No, because we recorded this episode, same session as last episode, Steve. You know that I haven't had time to install it yet, but I will get it in my SG very soon. I've got a crispy new wiring harness from my SG from them that has some really fun options. It's got an out-of-phase coil. It's got an out-of-phase push-pull switch for my bridge pickup. Really excited to try that out and explore new sounds and also solve some issues that I have with the tone controls on my SG. They just dump all the tone in the last 2% of the pot. So I'm excited to have actual usable pots on my SG here in the near future.
I heard tone is in the fingers.
Well, in this case, it's inside the control cavity of my SG where the new wiring harness will soon be.
All right, this episode is also brought to you by Sinasoid Pro Audio Couture. Did you know every Tuesday they have a Tech Flex special?
I did know that, Steve. Why do you keep telling me that?
Like a 10 or 12 or 15 foot cable that is pre-selected for color and clarity.
They make a cable. They put it online. They say, if you want this, you buy it. Here's a special price because it's already made, and we made it so pretty that you're going to want it. It's a great way to collect the whole Sinasoid collection. Lock them up in your cable protecting box in the middle of your living room where you keep all your cables displayed. And be like, look at how much of the Sinasoid collection I've got. I've got the red one. I've got the pink one. I've got the special red, white, and blue one. I've got the striped 60 cycle hum signature one. You got to get the whole collection.
Is there a 60 cycle hum?
It's like baseball cards. Well, it's not a 60 cycle hum one. It's more of like a Ryan Burke signature.
Which one
cable.
is that?
It's the striped cable, Steve.
Oh, the one that I'm looking
on.
at right now.
Yeah, the one that's right here coming out of my microphone.
I was thinking it was like an orange and white one.
No, that's the Albert signature model.
No, I think just oranges. Anyway. Yeah.
You don't have anything to add to that, huh, Steve?
I think you covered all of the TechFlex options.
Sinasoid cables. They make cables.
And other things.
They make smiles, Steve. You're supposed to say smiles. They also make you think there's a snake behind you. This episode is also brought to you by Walrus Audio, makers of the Luminary version 2. It's a quad octave generator. You can blend 4 different octaves together with your original signal, which really, in my mind, means that there's 5 octaves.
Yeah.
What do you think about that hot take, Steve? It's a 5-octave blender.
Well,
you got a double high.
Hold on, they're not all octaves. Something has to be 0. You can't be an octave of yourself. So yes, you are playing notes on 5 different octaves, but
okay, I'll take that. You're playing notes on 5 different octaves.
But that's like if saying, yeah, sure, because if you're playing an octave using an octave
Elton John can't do that unless he plays with his nose or his dick.
Oh my god.
Go check out our demo of the Walrus Audio Luminary version 2. The only demo
that may or may not be featuring Elton John.
That's lit by candles. That's right. I lit the pedal with 2 tall candles that were next to the pedal.
He didn't light the candle. He lit the room around the candle.
Well, the candle was illuminated.
Yeah.
The pedal was illuminated by candles. Everything else in the room was dark.
Okay.
And it's a cool look, and I'm proud of it. So go check out the demo. Hey, this is Ryan.
And this is Steve, and you're listening to 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
I think that's the best job you've done in a really long time, Steve.
Thanks.
That was a solid delivery. I think we're just going to copy paste that for all the other episodes from now on.
I said 3 years ago.
No, that was
you should just copy paste these.
My idea just now, and you know it.
I was like, why do I have to say this every time? Just let me get one good take and then copy paste it. And you were like, no, man, it's cooler if you do it every time. There's variety, and then It doesn't make us sound like a bunch of corporate shills or whatever.
Those are good points,
bro.
Steve. I'm glad you came up with those good points to combat my original idea of recording the intro. All right. Anything new with you, Steve?
Nah, dude, what's up with you? What's news in the hood?
What's news in the hood?
Mira Mesa.
Don't tell people what town I live in. They're going to track me down at the local Chipotle.
the old Chipotle.
The Chipotle. I sold all my Chipotle stock a while back and just took a loss.
Oh, really? It never recovered?
It never recovered. I lost a bunch of money on Chipotle. But don't worry, I made all my money back with Netflix.
Is that real?
That's real. I really need to stop doing stocks.
They're probably making all their money off
all together.
Shooting up on Lost in Space right now.
Oh, man. I binged that so hard. I know you've seen a couple episodes. I really liked it. This is very off topic, I know.
Yeah.
But I really liked the new Lost in Space. I'm a fan of the original Lost in Space.
How did you feel about the movie from the 90s?
I actually liked the movie from the 90s. I was talking to someone on the Greatest Generation Facebook group. And it's like, you know what? Lost in Space consistently has had fully enjoyable versions of their franchise. You've got the original, which is very campy.
Right.
In its 60s sort of way. It's very appropriate for its time. Mm-hmm. The 90s movie remake actually holds up. If you go back and watch it, it holds up as a movie. Yeah, the CG hasn't aged well.
Right.
But CG from 2 years ago hasn't aged well.
Yeah.
But as a movie, it's still entertaining. It's a bunch of fun. Like, it's totally on the level as any, like, big popcorn movie that comes out now. Like, it's great. And then this new series on Netflix I think it's fantastic. And I really like what they've done with the characters. They've kept a lot of original kind of, like, mood. Right. And a lot of, like, the personality of the characters, but changed the way they act because they act like, you know, people from our modern time.
Yeah.
And I really like the technology aspects of the show.
But Ryan, in the first episode, the computer says 3,000 feet when the screen clearly says 3,000 meters.
That's because the computer knows who it's talking to. It's talking to Americans.
But then it should say 9,000 feet.
Okay. So it messed up the number too.
That's what I'm saying. The screen says the screen says 3,000 and the units is meters, but the computer is saying
that's just
feet.
an actor's mistake then. Who cares? Oh. You cares. Who cares? But
the scientific community is outraged.
There's a lot of fun, like, logistics porn in it. Just like, oh, we got to move this thing from here to there. Oh, we have to save ourselves this way. Oh,
right.
What are we going to do? Like, it's a fun science fiction-y sort of thing with actual, like, science fiction content, not just, like, interpersonal drama, which it does have.
Is this your new thing for this episode, that you binge watched Lost in Space?
No, I just started
because I could talk about how I'm in, like, my fourth watch of The Office, but I don't think anybody cares.
Good point. No one cares. All right. New thing for me. I've been exploring new camera and recording gear. As you can see, Steve's wearing headphones right now. We're talking into different mics. I'm recording this episode with a GoPro. The GoPro failed on us last episode.
Hopefully it works this time.
It had some sort of issue where it timed out and just turned off and didn't save the recording.
It was like, peace, brah.
But the good news is I was running a much cheaper action camera that I bought to compare to the expensive GoPro, and that thing kept running the whole episode. And I checked and the files are there. So last episode is covered. This episode will hopefully be covered. I prefer the video quality of the GoPro, so I'm hoping it records a whole episode because that's...
It just stopped.
Why did it just stop?
And now it says 2 and it's not recording.
Okay, I started it
recording
again manually with my phone controller. There's some sort of auto turn-off situation happening here with the GoPro.
But that was only at like 8 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yeah, that's obnoxious. I have no idea what's going on. Oh, maybe because we were saying GoPro a bunch and it's got the voice control on. Let's not talk about it anymore.
Do you think that's what happened?
It might be.
Oh, because you said, "Oh, my GoPro stopped."
No, don't do it.
It probably only recognizes your voice.
No, it doesn't have any voice calibration.
Oh. I don't know.
You just have to know the commands. All right, let's move on into the rest of the episode. First ad?
Yeah, this first ad was sent by Zach Wright. It's for a 64 Jazzmaster. That is.
It's not for a 64 Jazzmaster. It's for a gosh dang tragedy. It's what it is.
No, it's for a Fender
it's
1963.
It's for a gosh dang crime, Steve.
Is it a crime?
It's a crime.
All right.
Did a crime go? I thought I heard a crime go. That's a joke from another podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what
that
joke that.
Very few people will get. I thought I heard a crime go.
What podcast is that from?
I'm not even going to say at this point. I'm just going to leave it out there.
All right. He says, I have to call this out as a vintage guitar lover. This makes me sick. This guy bought a Mint 64 Jazzmaster last year and now has destroyed it to sell for parts. This is shameful to do. Destroying history for profit is not okay.
At what point does a guitar become history?
I don't know. I think 63 Jazzmaster's pretty close.
Oh, I'm saying that's squarely into guitar history. But I'm saying, what's the cutoff date for parting out a guitar that isn't history? Because you can part out an 80s guitar, and I don't feel like that's history, depending on the guitar.
I think it really comes down to a sense of. I think you have to have a sense of history.
Well, I think the issue here is it greater than the sum of its parts.
Well, that's one of the things I think is kind of interesting here is you look at it and this guy's selling the body for like $3,000,
yeah,
the neck for a little, $3,000.
I'm not talking about the dollar value. I'm talking about the intrinsic value.
But I'm saying sure, from intrinsic value, I think it just depends on if it has. I think whether or not it's historic is completely up to perspective, and I realize I almost feel like saying well, you'll know it's historic because it'll just be historic. But what I mean by that is like you said, if you part something out from the 80s, it's whatever. But at the same time, I have my 80s Fender Japanese is a Fender Contemporary Standard Stratocaster. So it does not have the original locking string trees or the original tremolo on it, vibrato, whatever.
I think you mean tromolo.
Tromolo, right. My original trololo.
Yeah, your trololo.
It doesn't have those parts, and probably at the time, the person who took all that stuff off was just I want a vintage style trem, whatever, it's cool. But now, from the point 30 years later, I'm man, I wish I had all that original weird 80s stuff.
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's something to be said for having a guitar that has all its parts.
Yeah,
but
the flip side of that is if you bought an.
But then you could buy those parts from Gary's Gear Outlet, who's selling this stuff.
Right. Well, sure. And the flip side of that is if it was just in 1987 Fender American Standard or whatever year they started making that guitar, 87, 88, somewhere around there, 89 maybe. They made that guitar exactly the same for 20 years.
Right.
So who cares?
Right.
Right. Now, once you get back to a certain point, yeah, there's kind of you couldn't make the same argument for a 70s Strat. I think you could make the argument for an 80s, early 80s Dan Smith Stratocaster. So if somebody took are you familiar with the model called the Strat?
Right.
Or an early 80s American Elite Stratocaster. If you parted that out, I think you'd get some side eye and some cockeyed, some crooked.
Do you think this ad is defendable from the direction that someone could use these parts to complete the originality of another a 64 Jazzmaster that they have?
Sure. I mean, that's probably the market that this guy's going for, but I think the outrage here is coming from the assumption that this guy bought this guitar in minty fresh condition, either with the intention
of flipping it,
of
flipping the parts,
of trying to flip parts, or just under the mentality of I'm going or he got to a point where he's oh, I need to make some money, I'm gonna do this thing.
Well, what's the value of, because he's not including the pickups.
Right. So,
or the pick guard.
So the question in turn could be I wonder if he already had a 63 Jazzmaster, that
64
Jazzmaster.
Get your year right.
Well,
please.
The parts.
We are supposed to be guitar experts.
Well,
and you just
here's
here's
the thing: is
we should be picking
shut
this apart.
up.
Should be picking this apart based on the month and week.
Well, we
was
don't have access to
made.
that information.
I'm just joking. I don't
The ads all say 63. The
Right.
caption says 60.
That's true.
64.
That is true.
So
Good point.
But my bigger point here being that maybe he took the parts that he needed to restore a guitar that he had.
Or maybe he literally bought this and it didn't have the pick guard or pickups. Like this is all it came with.
Well, I think right. So
And
I guess
maybe his mentality was like, oh, I'm going to buy this. I got a good deal on it. I'm going to track down pick guard and pickups. And then he was just one day like, meh, I'm not going to find them. I don't want to do the work. I'm just going to sell the parts.
right.
I don't know. The more I think, when I first saw this ad, I was offended by the thought of taking apart a 64 Jazzmaster. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, meh. It's not like someone who's going to buy that Jazzmaster neck for $2,600 and slap it onto, some crappy body. Like people who are going to be spending that money and buying this, vintage of guitar part is going to be using it to complete
this
like
guy
a
only-
legitimate project.
At this point, it looks like potentially the tuners sold because I can't find them on Reverb.
Yeah. $350 for tuners, man. I know that they're the originals, but I feel like I would not make that the thing that I'd be obsessed over.
He says that he's also on the body, including the shielding and strap buttons as well.
Right.
That makes it
So he's not going to
more
strip
desirable.
the shielding out of the body before he sells it to you. That's very kind of him.
Well, I think the shielding is actually like some kind of drop in because it's not.
Oh,
in the,
is it?
It's not in the picture.
I thought it was kind of coppery looking in that
Well,
picture.
So that's what.
Oh, yeah, weird. It is a drop-in plate. That's bizarre. I've never seen that before. Steve just showed me on.
But
his
yeah,
phone.
there's not really any discussion on here about how he came across this. Just that it's an original, unmolested Jazzmaster body with original finish.
Well,
which
now
is
he's
so
gone and molested it, hasn't
vibrant
he?
and bright. And those are the only two things listed on his store. So, there's no other point of reference to like, maybe the pickup and pickguard were the first thing sold before somebody found it and started sharing it around.
Or maybe he had an even better Jazzmaster that he wanted to put those pickups and pickguard onto. And this is the result of him tracking down parts and spending a lot of money to do it.
Yeah.
He's got to sell off a guitar that he bought.
Anyways, so you think like, okay, say you bought a intact, 63 whatever from Fender, you're like just like yeah sure, like whatever, just part it out. What do you think if he actually?
If I spent that kind of money, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, just whatever, let's part it out. I'll say that right now.
Well, what would you say? Like, okay, say you bought it for, I don't know, $8,000, like some vintage guitar, and you were like, oh, $8,000, and you get it, and you start looking at it, and you realize like, okay, say it's Fender, so say it's like something about it's weird. I don't know, like maybe, the guy who sold it to you thought it was like a 66, so it was like a little less, but turns out it's like a 64, so it's worth more. I don't know if that's a thing,
Right.
but let's pretend it's a thing. And so you're like, oh man, these are all 64 parts, not 66. This thing's worth like $20,000, not $8,000, but it's only worth that in parts. I don't know. That seems weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. So in some situation where like you could get, say, instead of getting $10,000, you could get $12,000 if you sold parts instead of selling the whole thing.
Sure.
Like, is that a thing you think you would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this? Or would you just be like, I'm just going to be happy with a $2,000 profit instead of a $4,000 profit?
Man, if I could make a $4,000 profit, I'd probably go for the $4,000
Yeah,
profit.
So it's like, historical significance of the instrument be damned. You're gonna make that extra $2,000.
Yeah. I mean, I can have a lot of fun with $2,000. I can pay a lot of bills. That's, part of a mortgage payment or something right there.
Right. So I guess,
It's a
that
down payment on a car.
that's kind of like blends into our first topic.
Yeah, it
Is,
does. Well, that's how we planned this episode, Steve, is the first ad rolling into the first topic.
Okay.
Remember when we discussed that and we agreed upon it?
Anyway, so this question, that ad was sent by Zach. Well, it was posted by Zach Wright. This was then kind of like this question was brought up separately by Evelyn Sanders, who asked, ethical flipping, should you sell a guitar to someone for more than it's worth if they don't know what they're buying? I think.
I mean, this scenario here really is the determining factor. Like, is this a cartoony back room, like back alley deal where you see some kid with a lollipop coming down the street, like, "Hey kid, want to buy a Stratocaster? This is what Jimi Hendrix played," and you sell them, a '90s Squier Bullet for $600 because you convince them it's what Hendrix played,
right?
Or is it like you list something on Reverb or eBay or Craigslist with a high price, thinking that someone's gonna haggle with you, and then the person just buys it, and you make assumptions about what they know or don't know. Like it's easy to get caught up in like the theatrics of this, but like what is actually happening?
Yeah, I think if you're just straight up misrepresenting something, then
that's obviously not ethical.
That's not ethical
because that's called lying.
I think everything that and we've talked about this before, like everything that I put up on Reverb or on Craigslist, I overprice. Unless I'm like feel like I'm in a real hurry to sell, right? Like, oh, grab me something. Otherwise, like, and my take on it, especially if it's like Reverb or Craigslist, my take on it is, what? It's your job to do the work to decide on your behalf what you're willing to pay.
Right.
So if I list a Mexican Strat for $450 and you buy it at $450, like, hey, as long as you're happy with the transaction.
The shipping is what's going to kill you on that.
Well, I'm saying like even if I put up on Craigslist, right?
Right.
So, to go along with that, like, I think if you were to say like, if, it says, should you sell something to someone for more than it's worth if they don't know what they're buying? I just don't think that there's really an excuse anymore to not know what you're buying.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've been trying to sell this Celestian Blue speaker for a long time now. I get bites every now and then. And a guy who was talking to me about it seriously, and he was like, is it 16 ohms? And I was like, yeah, it's 16 ohms. I legitimately thought it was 16 ohms. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to come get it today. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I should test it. This guy cares about the specifics.
Doesn't it say on the back?
It doesn't. It's not marked, which is an annoying feature of the Celestian Blue. So then I tested it, and it was 8 ohm. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'm about to screw up this deal. I'm not going to sell it, but I'm also probably saving this guy's rig by telling him. So I wrote him really quickly. I was like, I'm sorry. I just tested it. You were right. It's 8 ohm. I'm really sorry. And he's like, bummer. I can't use that. So I still haven't sold it, but now I have it listed correctly. Like, there, to a certain extent, it is on the buyer to ask questions and to be informed on what they are and are not buying.
And it's on the seller to represent the instrument, accurately
as best as they can,
and
obviously,
in terms of the ad and in terms of everything else. So that I agree with. When I listed my radiator, I listed it for $150 more than I paid for, or than it would have been new in store. $100 more than I paid for it, including shipping. Mm-hmm. And that was all with the idea, like, well, if I can even like break even on this, like, so if I took $100 hit on my listing, I could still break even.
Right.
If I took a $50 hit, everyone would feel great about it, and I would still make $50.
I mean, really, the correct price for anything is what someone will pay.
Yeah.
Like, outside of people being dishonest, that's just what it comes down to. I mean, it makes us sound like shrewd, awful, like terrible, take advantage of people's sort of situation. But like, it's the rules of acquisition.
I think the one place
we'd be bad Ferengis if we didn't, like try to cut a profit.
I think the one place where I would say that like, I would feel kind of like iffy about it is if you're selling to somebody who like who is open to the fact that they don't know anything, And so I guess really I'm speaking.
Sure.
I'm speaking,
If you can sense that someone is green, and that's like the fictional like scenario I came up with in the beginning. It's like if you sense that someone is green and impressionable and doesn't know anything, and you take advantage of that, then yeah, that sucks.
I would also say like if you're just taking advantage of someone who is trusting you because they're like a personal. Like the personal friend of yours.
Oh yeah.
So like
you ever do like business with someone who like, oh, I'll go to this person. They do the sort of thing that I need to hire someone for, and maybe they'll give me a friend rate.
Right.
The GoPro just quit again. What is it doing? All right.
File 3.
This is gonna be an interesting edit to deal with. Like you go to someone that you know. And you think like, oh, I'll get a little bit of friend rate. It helps them out because they're getting, work.
Right.
And then like you realize, oh, they're not giving me a friend rate at all. Like they're charging me the full amount.
Right. No, that doesn't ever happen to me.
You get the friend rate every time?
No, I just
don't hire people?
I just never hire my friends.
It's probably a smart thing to do, honestly.
Well, think about who my friends are that like operate their own business scenarios. I don't need any graphic design work.
Come on, Steve. Let me make you a logo.
I don't need any videography work. I do still get friend discounts on my haircuts. And that's it. Those are the only things I use. So
yeah, Steve is a man of simple needs. He doesn't need video. He doesn't need design, but he does need a haircut.
I do need a haircut.
Do you have anything else to add to this?
I think we could kind of. The scenario I was trying to go with is
have you ever been swindled?
I don't.
You ever feel like you've been swindled in a deal? Like a guitar deal?
I think when that Fendler showed up broken, I was pretty sad about it.
Yeah. Was that a swindle though? Unless he knew it was broken.
I think it was a bad ship. I knew it wasn't working. I thought it was a bad ship. Honestly, but it was also like $150, which isn't cheap, but it's also, I just didn't feel, I don't remember what was going on in my life at the time, but I was like, I just can't, this is too much. Like, this is going to cause me more mental stress.
Right.
To try to chase this. So, 2 years later, here we are.
2 years it's been that.
I don't know how long it's been.
We're staring at it across the garage right now.
But otherwise, I can't think of any other situations where I felt like I got a raw deal. Even with that radiator, like, even though
I get a raw deal every time I get sushi. Huh? How about that joke?
Well, you just raised Phil's joke grade up to a solid A. That's a joke from a few weeks ago from another podcast.
Yeah, a whole other podcast that we're referencing.
So even on that radiator, like I felt kind of like, oh, I'm trading this like radiator for a Fender 70s reissue. I was like, oh, like I'm definitely coming out ahead on this. And then I get the guitar and it's scalped. I was like, oh, maybe I'm not coming out ahead.
Have you taken that to Guitar Center yet?
Nah. Well, you said there was like an issue with the volume knob, so I haven't.
They're not going to check that, dude. Just roll into Guitar Center with it. See what they'll say. And if you don't like the number, walk out. If you do like the number, leave it.
Yeah.
And then you'll be swindling the man.
I got to figure out. I got to figure out if I should take it in a soft case or in that hard case.
Oh yeah, good point.
Maybe I should take it in with a soft case and just be like, well, I got a hard case.
Here's what you do. You take it in the music area case, but then it's inside another case, inside that case.
Oh my
so when you leave it, you unzip the music area case. And you're like, here you go. Case included.
I don't think that's going to work.
That
seems
actively
like a
talking
bad
about
idea.
Swindling Guitar Center.
Seems like a bad idea.
With like baiting and switching right in front of them. Where they could say, no, that's not what we're doing.
There was a guy who tried to sort of like accuse me of swindling him.
Oh, yeah?
On that Carvin MTS that I sold a couple years ago.
I forgot you had an MTS.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks.
I have an MTS?
No.
What did I have all those years back?
Oh, you did. You had the head.
Yeah.
Oh,
you had a combo?
I had the combo.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so I sold it. And then like 2 weeks later, or like a week later or whatever, excuse me, the guy like texted me and is like, when you turn the volume all the way up, like something happens. I don't know, but it was like cutting out. And I was just like, I don't know, man. Because legitimately, like, I hadn't had any issues with it.
Well, you never turned it up, I hope.
Probably not.
Not all the way up. And honestly, like, if you're turning it all the way up, what are you doing? Jeez.
Yeah,
dude.
I was just like, oh, it's maybe the tubes. Like, you should take it to a tech.
Yeah, and who knows what that guy did in the 2 weeks since
Well,
he
that
bought
was
it.
in
If
fact,
he's turning it up every day, then
it might have even been like way more than 2 weeks. It might have been like a full month. I just remember looking at it being like, yeah, you're way. If this was the next day,
sure.
Like I'd be like, okay, let's set something up maybe. But at that point, I was like, yeah, dude, your money's gone. I spent it on hookers and crack already.
No, you bought
That's
food for your
true.
children.
That's true. I probably paid for tires for my car. Something stupid. Something's necessity.
Yeah, something stupid, not like hookers and crack. Whatever you said.
Yeah, that is what I said. All right, let's hit this next ad.
I found this. This is my ad. I'm taking full credit for it.
Ryan is insisting on taking credit for this stupid ad.
Oh, you think it's stupid, huh? Well, I'm going to make you read this giant block of text for calling me stupid.
Hold
He didn't
on,
call
I
me
gotta
stupid.
find
He
it.
called the ad stupid. I recognize the difference, Steve. But the implication is there. Here, just read it from the iPad, man. Stubborn Steve got to use his own phone.
Yep.
Got all these screens around here. Screen. Camera. A lot of technology
Oh my
around here.
gosh. Trio of original run of the Squier 51 guitars in all three of the colors available for the original run: vintage, blonde, two-tone sunburst, and black.
Black.
All are in excellent to near mint condition. Not to be confused with the later Fender version, which was aka the Fender Pawn Shop series, or the vintage 51 that you used to get at GC for $199.99. They no longer carry them. The original 51s were made by Squier and are the ones that are the most in demand. That's true. These typically go for $225 to $295 depending on the color, even though they were $99. Yeah. The vintage blonde versions seem to be particularly hard to find. These guitars are favorites for modifications, have a unique and interesting sound without mods. All three of my guitars have minimal wear, function properly, and are 100% original, except for strings. Yeah. If you're not familiar with them, here's some information. Ooh.
Here we go. Information time.
The 51, hold on, I need a drink.
We're gearing up for information. It's about to get good.
Man, remember when we used to, it was just me gearing up.
Steve, now's your opportunity. You get to gear up again.
I'm reading an ad. There's nothing to gear up about. The 51 combines aspects of several of Fender's best-known instruments. The body and neck pickup resemble that of the Fender Stratocaster, while the single-ply pickguard and the control plate is borrowed from the original incarnation of the Fender Precision bass. The neck and headstock design are reminiscent of a Fender Telecaster. Wouldn't that also just be reminiscent of an old Fender Precision bass?
I guess.
Yeah, the answer is yes. The 51 uses a humbucker in the bridge position and a Stratocaster-style single-coil pickup in the neck position. The bridge of the 51 is slightly narrower than most US-made Fender guitars in order to line up better with the pull pieces of the humbucker, which are designed for the narrow string spacing of Gibson-style guitars. Why didn't they just put a T-space or F-space humbucker in there? I don't know. Kids these days. Millennials.
Tide Pods. Don't even get me started.
Yeah. You ever snort a condom?
Have you ever seen me stop snorting condoms? It's pretty much like my main jam.
The bridge pickup has a coil split activated by pulling out the volume control knob to switch between single coil and humbucker configurations. The second control knob, which normally would operate as a tone control on a Telecaster early precision bass, is a three-position pickup selector for choosing between the neck alone, combined neck humbucker, or humbucker alone.
Right, this is a
saddle
stupid
hardtails
ad.
top-loading bridge.
I regret everything.
The guitar features a basswood body.
Is it basswood or basswood?
I think it's basswood. Could be basswood. I've always heard that wood is pretty neutral response though, so it's probably not bass.
Yeah, it's probably bass.
With a maple neck and fretboard, some rare specimens of the neck were constructed from two pieces with a maple fingerboard laminated to a maple neck. Excuse me. Most were solid maple. Some specimens.
This guy has a huge boner for these guitars. Why is he even selling
Showed
them?
a significant amount of bird's eye figuring. The 51 was offered in 3 colors, two-tone sunburst. We already said this.
Did he just copy paste the same thing 3 times? Because that's what it feels like so far. Like, this is really long, Steve.
Hey, remember that one time you posted the same episode twice?
Oh, you mean like 3 days ago
Yeah.
as of recording this?
More like this morning.
Yeah.
It just feels like 3 days ago because this ad is so long.
It's been a long day.
The blonde model has a cream yellow hue and typically a black pick guard. The sunburst and black models have a white pick guard. Thanks. I will not separate the guitars. I price a trio very low, so I will not consider any offers. Although they are currently protected in cases, the guitar will not be sold with any case or gig bag. I do not want any trades. I will not ship, except PayPal or have your courier pick it up. I will only respond to your email if you leave me your name and telephone number for me to call you. I will remove the ad when sold, so no need to ask if they're still available. I'll be happy to show you the guitars and let you play them before buying. However, due to my work schedule, I will not be able to do so until this weekend. I am willing to meet up in North San Diego County. Thank you.
Man.
How much is this guy asking? $600?
Yeah, for all of them?
He's in South Orange County.
That is...
So far away. That's
Where's
like
the
a
price on this?
45-minute drive. It's awful.
Yeah, $600, man. I don't know. I mean, mostly I wanted to pull this up just because...
Because you want to make me read freaking forever?
I wanted to make Steve read forever. Also, I feel like these guitars were the line in the sand that Squier crossed over saying, like, things are about to get interesting with us. Because before this, it was just like representations of Strats and Teles that just were mostly kind of awful.
I think more
and
than
very
that.
like student level, and then they come out with this, and honestly, I don't remember liking the way they felt. I thought the frets were really super sharp on them, and I didn't feel like they were fun players when I picked them up in stores.
Yeah.
But I recognize that they are very unique, and that they, because of the price of them, they were literally like $100, right?
So when the first run happened, I want to say they started around 150 or 180.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 200. Like, because the guy says that the current run is 200.
It was like back then there were Squier bullets in Guitar Center that were like $89.
Yeah.
With like strap packs that were like 120.
So when I said 99,
that were like unplayable. They were like unplayable
Right.
quality. And then this thing comes out. It was playable.
Yeah.
But the fret quality still was really sharp.
Yeah. So like I really think like I said 150, 180, somewhere in that ballpark. But what happened is they were there and like some people bought them, but they weren't like, they weren't flying off the shelves.
Sure.
And then when Fender discontinued them, Guitar Center dropped the price to $99.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everyone who was like at 150 or whatever was like, They were like, oh, at $100, like I can chop this thing in half, and who
Yeah.
cares? And these things started flying off the shelves and showing up as like a modding platform for all this stuff.
And they look cool.
They do have a cool look. Come on,
Stop
man.
fidgeting, Steve. That's my job.
I need a cube. I need a spinner.
Here, play with a bottle opener. There you go. Do it under the
This thing's
table.
pretty noisy.
Yeah.
So that I think more than awakening a consumer level saying like, oh, Squire's not like completely trash. I think it kind of like woke up Fender's like R&D center to kind of be like, people really like these weird like hybrid guitars. What else can we do? Which kind of I think is what may have led to like the Fender Modern Player line.
Yeah.
And the Fender, they mentioned that the 51 is one of the guitars in the Pawn Shop series. And,
I feel like they really tested
just things like that.
Like they dipped their pinky in the water back during the time when this came out and have just been slowly wading into the pool, like getting crazier and crazier each year, like exploring the things that people have been doing on their own and like small builders have explored on their own, but now Fender's just doing it. It's interesting. And I really do think that this was a line in the sand. Like this, I can't think of any other Squier guitar that came before this that was so like unique in this way. I mean, you go back into the 80s and there was like the katana and stuff like that. But that's more of, an abnormality,
Yeah, and with that,
if this guy was parting these out, he wants to sell them as a package because he's a nutcase who thinks that they need to be a collection.
yeah.
Which is another thing. Do you think that these need to stay together as a collection?
No.
No, that's ridiculous. But if he would part them out, would you pay $200 for one? If you got the itch? I'm not talking about you right now in this moment. I'm talking like if you were looking for one of these.
I think if I thought I had the time to make it like cool, maybe.
What would you do to make it cool, Steve?
I'm saying like to do the work to like do the fret fixing and whatnot.
Right.
Because I might just leave it as is and just upgrade the pickups to like higher quality parts otherwise.
Right.
So I
feel like I would have been more into these if instead of a humbucker in the bridge, they had a Tele-Bird pickup. Or like a dog ear P90. You throw a dog ear in this, I'd be all about it.
Right. I think the humbucker, I think one of the things that was always interesting about the 51 is that they have the slanted
the neck pickup,
but it's slanted in the direction that most people think is kind of counterintuitive because it's slanted in a way that makes the bass side super heavy. But maybe that's what worked for it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I wish these had come out now so that I could do YouTube videos of them.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think YouTube was around when these came out. Could you imagine?
I don't think it was.
Like being able to cover these right out of the gate would have been a fantastic time. Let's move on to our next topic. Let's keep the show going.
Eating on stage. Our next topic is somebody wants to know about eating on stage.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Pull it up and read it because I can't access it right now because I'm using all my screens for other things.
Oh, Ryan, what's the point of having so many screens?
I know, right? I'm using my phone to control the GoPro.
Is this the one I took a picture of and sent to you?
No, the other one was. Let me see what I can do.
No, I can find it.
This is really good podcasting right
here.
The
best.
Oh, you found it. Good.
Oh, yeah. That's not true, but I'm almost there.
Oh, you're almost there.
I mean, I knew how to get there. Here we go. If a calzone is just a burrito, a pizza folded in half.
No, we're not doing the calzone one. Keep going.
Dude, I haven't had a calzone in a while. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, I kind of want a calzone.
Have you ever been to that pizza place on Miramar Road, not far from you? I think it's called
Polly's.
I
have, but not there. I haven't had a calzone.
Good calzones there, man.
All right. Acceptable foods and beverages to consume on stage. Oh, this is from Jim Bowers. Ramblin' 6-string. Jimmy Rambler. That's what it is.
Jimmy Rambler.
What acceptable foods and beverages to consume while on stage? Are there do's and don'ts between/during songs? Ribs, wings, red vines, Doritos, box wine.
Box wine. Nice. I thought this was fun, and we haven't had like a full like semi off topic in a while, and it's not totally off topic because it's talking about like what do you think you could get away with eating on stage while playing? I'm not talking like someone has a solo and you step into the shadows and start snacking. I'm talking like you're playing. What do you go for a snack? And some of these big like touring acts, they play long shows, like 4-hour shows. Right. You got to have some kind of snack while you're doing that.
I think it all depends on whether or not you have a gimmick. Like it's got to be some kind of gimmick.
You think so?
Well, so it depends. Like I think
because you could do anything as a gimmick. I'm not talking about gimmicks because then you could get into bands like the Donuts, where like they like eat Twinkies and blow powdered sugar on the audience during the show. Look it up on YouTube. These guys are incredible.
Well, so what I mean by that is like
I'm talking like something that you could eat while on stage and get away with it without it being a gimmick.
Okay. Red Vines is a yes.
I think Red Vines is a yes. Totally. Any licorice.
I think anything that's saucy is just straight out. Yeah. Ribs, come on, man. I mean, I guess if they're dry smoke, maybe. But
I think it'd have to be
also no one wants to watch you eat ribs.
It'd have to be the kind of rib where like it's so tender, you reach to the side, you got a plate of ribs on top of your amp. The tubes are keeping them warm. That's what I'm talking about. You grab a rib, it's already cut for you. It's so tender, you put the whole rib in your mouth, You wrap your lips around it, and the bone just comes out clean. That's
You're gonna get so much juice on your fingers, though, dude. You gotta have a
dude,
fat stack of naps.
I mean, you
You need
get that
some wet wipes.
You get that grease on your fingers, and it lubricates your strings.
I don't think that's how it works.
Gets it all
That
slippery.
explains a lot about how when I borrow a guitar from you, the first thing I do is replace the strings.
But yeah, ribs are a no. Anything you're eating off the bone, I don't think so. Wings are a no.
Yeah, unless they're boneless.
Pizza
Are
is
boneless wings really wings?
no. They're nuggets.
And then if you had a fork though, you could do that.
Yeah, you could do nuggets.
What about pizza?
Pizza? I think it really depends on the pizza. If you're talking like a proper piece of pizza where like the cheese is stretching and dripping, and there's like grease on top of it, no. You gotta have like your hand fully into like controlling that pie as it goes in your mouth, and you need that hand for playing. The kind of pizza you could eat on stage is like you get the big sheet pizza that's cut into squares. Remember when Little Caesars had the Bigfoot? It's cut into squares. You let it get kind of cold. This is like back room, like green room cold pizza that's been sitting out a while. You're playing. You grab a slice. You just shove it in your mouth, and you like pull it into your mouth while you're chewing it, so your hands are free to play. Like you could do that.
Did I ever tell you about how I would eat pizza in the outfield while playing kickball like a year ago?
A year ago, you were doing this?
Adult kickball.
That's incredible. That makes me want to play adult kickball and eat pizza at the same time.
I would also drink 7 beers during a kickball game.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
Not always.
How would you still be on your feet and playing? That's
Just
incredible.
a magical human being.
That's it. It's magic.
Yeah. Magnets.
Oh, don't listen to scientists. They're all liars anyways.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, I think any kind of like in your hand snack food. When I was thinking about gimmick foods, I was thinking about like, if Blink-182 ate M&Ms during their show, like that makes sense.
Yeah, like
me,
you
right?
grab a fistful of like loose candy and you can shove it in your mouth and chew on it. Man, I could, if I'm playing a show, I could go
like if
for
Five Iron Frenzy ate mayonnaise tacos during their shows.
Oh, what the hell? Is that a thing?
They had a song called Mayonnaise Taco.
Oh, that's foul. Disgusting, dude. I could see eating like a clean hot dog, not like a messy, heavy with toppings hot dog, but you got a hot dog sitting on top of your amp. Once again, the tubes are keeping it warm, and when you have a few beats where you're not playing, you grab it, you take a bite, you put it back down.
What kind of
like this stuff sounds weird. It's like it's no thing for like some like band player to pick up a drink and take a swig during a song.
Do you think it's easier to eat during a song or in between songs?
In between songs, it's almost harder because there's things you have to be doing in between the song.
Right.
Like you got to be changing your effects. You're probably tuning in between songs. Like during a song, especially if it's a song where you know the parts and you know what's coming up and you can time yourself, it's probably easier. Is what I'm saying. Like, you know that there's a bass solo coming up and you're going to be like, yeah, I just barely lay back while a bassist does his thing.
Right.
Like that's snack time. That's solid snack time.
The more I think about it, man, like Red Vines has got to be like
I think that's the top.
Best.
I think that's the tops because you just grab it real quick, you put it in your mouth, and you can kind of slowly put it into your mouth, like pull it into your mouth like Lady and the Tramp style.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's going to look kind of fun. Like the audience is going to be into it. They're going to be like, I wish I had a Red Vine.
Yeah.
And plus, you bite the other end off, you can use it as a straw for your drink. I just now remember that's a thing that I used to do when I was a kid. And now I'm thinking,
oh my God,
what hard liquor can I drink with a Red Vine and have it work?
Vodka
and Red Vines would work. But I'm also thinking like some kind of like brown liquor that's,
I don't know, man,
cheap but smooth, like some sort of scotch or whiskey through a Red Vine. It's got to be kind of good. Because you're doing,
I think if you're going to go brown liquor, you're probably leaning more on the rum side.
Yeah, rum would work. Rum and a Red Vine. Rum vines. I think we just invented a new cocktail, Steve, and it's all just one hard liquor and a candy straw.
I've been struggling to develop my contribution to the YouTube channel, but I think I just found it.
Oh my gosh. Garbage cocktails.
Hey
Steve's-
guys, this is Steve with 60 Cycle Hub. Today I'm going to be eating red vines and drinking rum.
There's got to be some other food that would be super good. I think if you're going to go Mexican food, I mean, I made that video of the burrito holder, but that's a joke.
I can't think of a single Mexican food that you could eat during a show.
Rolled tacos.
Yeah,
But
I
not the kind
guess.
that are covered in guac and cheese and sour cream. They got to just be kind of clean.
Just be clean, and you got to dip it. You got to dip it into whatever you want, and then that dip just all goes in your mouth.
Is there any food that you can incorporate into your playing? Like you use it to pluck the strings.
Doritos.
You pluck the strings with Doritos. It doesn't get any more extreme than that.
You got to make those strings cheesier.
I get that dust everywhere.
You want that cool tone?
What about
Nothing's cooler than Cooler Ranch Doritos.
What about sushi? Like if you're good with chopsticks, you grab that sushi real quick. You just throw a single piece in your mouth, and you're just straight chewing.
I think you can only eat sushi during a show if you're in a Vapors cover band.
Sure, okay.
Or a Yoko Ono cover
Or
band.
you're Japanese,
Or you're actually Japanese.
or you're just a big sushi fan because you like that sweet
Do you
sushi.
think Plane Without a Pilot could do that? Since Brian Gower is a weeaboo?
Guess. What's a weeaboo?
It's complicated.
Okay, let's not get into it if it's that complicated.
That was probably really mean.
It was probably pretty bad. If I knew what it meant, I could tell you how bad it is.
All right. Well, I'm sure our listeners will Google it.
I'm
and I'll
guessing
get
that
some
it's
hate
like
mail.
a mixed Asian sort of thing.
No, it's a term for like white people who want to be Asian.
Oh, okay. Well, you can talk about that because you're half Asian.
That's true. I am. No, Brian's just really into anime. Weeaboo is defined as a non-Japanese person who basically denounces their own culture and calls themselves Japanese. So that's not actually Brian. I just like to make
Right.
I just like to make fun of him because he has a Korg Miku, and he tells people that that's his tone secret.
Oh my gosh.
And he collects anime pedals that have like anime on them. But I'm also just jealous because I still need to buy a Korg Miku.
Didn't him or someone else offer to send us one when they're done with it? Like to check out?
I don't remember.
I think someone messaged me that
I mean, I
recently.
could probably.
Sorry, I can't remember
Yeah.
who you are.
I don't know.
But I know you offered that, and I greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get into the next and last ad. Oh,
We
want
want to
to
talk about sponsors.
recap the sponsors, and then we'll hit the last
They
ad?
probably don't want us to recap them after this nightmare.
I know, right? Let's talk about
went off the
Elton
rails.
John playing piano with his dick.
You didn't. That's not what you said. You said with his dick.
With his dick.
Dick.
You know he's done it. There's no way Elton John hasn't played piano with his dick. There's no way. Elton, if you're listening or if someone knows Elton John, come on. Let us know. I mean,
Hopefully Spencer Hyam is the only minor listening to this show.
I watched that new Kingsman movie
Yeah,
because the first one was so bad. I wanted to see if the new
I
one
heard the
could
first
be-
one was really
It
good.
was terrible.
Was
Oh,
it just
was
like good in a bad way? Was it like
was just-
so bad it's good?
It was douchey. It was so douchey. And the new one was douchey too, but more, I'd say the new one wasn't as offensively douchey. But Elton John is in the sequel in a really fun way. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it involve the same premise as the end of the first one?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So you did watch the first one, or
No,
you just heard
I
about
just heard about it.
Yeah.
I'm that guy who knows all about pop culture without actually consuming
Right.
pop culture. All right. Anyway, thanks to our sponsors, Sinasoid. Go check out the Tech Flex special. It comes out every Tuesday. I actually think it runs like until they run out.
Yeah.
Guys, correct me if I got that wrong, but I know I looked at your site on like a Friday and I still saw it.
Sure.
So I don't know.
I mean, their cables are great. They put together some really cool looks for the Tech Flex Tuesday. I'm a huge fan of Tech Flex.
Yeah.
I ordered this mic cable that I'm using right now.
Yeah, and you're touching it, and we're using dynamic mics, so everybody just heard that.
Yeah, you can hear the Tech Flex.
That's all up in my headphones.
Pretty good, huh? Pretty good. Also, big thanks to Walrus Audio, makers of the Luminary version 2.
They make a lot of other cool stuff, too.
It's so good. I've been a huge fan of everything Walrus has been coming out with for a while now. I can't say this for every pedal that I demo, but there's a pretty high probability that I have kept every single Walrus pedal that I've demoed in the last couple of years. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. They just been banging them out and making really great pedals, and I think they're doing an awesome job. And I think the Luminary version 2 is a pretty great upgrade, and I feel like it's more playable for me with the tremolo modulation versus the vibrato modulation.
Yeah. And big thanks to Gunstreet Wiring Shop. They have been a big fan of us, and Ryan is a big fan of them, and I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah.
I really like what they do. And
maybe you should get a wiring harness
they put together
for one of your basses or something like that.
Oh,
you're playing guitar a lot now, aren't you?
I am playing guitar a lot. I need to. That's actually a really good idea. I need to talk to them because I think I need to replace all the wiring in my Telecaster because at least my volume pot I know is super scratchy. The tone pot might be scratchy too. Like basically, I can't roll the.
Well, there's your YouTube content right there. Hit them up. Figure out what you need. If you need some sort of tripod rig to get your iPhone
I have a tripod,
but can it get over a guitar while you're wiring it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Well, we'll figure something out, and maybe we'll make that happen.
What I really need to do is I need to find like a day where I can work a half day and then just come over here and like a day that we're already going to be recording.
Sure. We'll have a wiring party.
And just I'll come over here and spend half a day making videos and then we'll record.
Sounds good to me, man. All right. Let's hit this last ad.
Yeah. This last ad is the Tele-Bird.
From Ad Zant.
Yeah. Good old Michael Van Zant. Thanks for sending this in. He actually sent this in a while ago. And
I just finished the beer, which means we can finish the episode.
Is that what we were waiting for?
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
All right, I guess we're not going to talk about this.
No. Let's talk about it.
This is called Tele-Bird. It's $500 in Elizabethtown. Who is Elizabeth and why does she get her own town?
Yeah, when do I get my own town?
Ryan Town.
It'd be called Burkeville, duh.
Nice Tele-Bird with a made in USA 59 Warmoth reverse headstock Telecaster neck. USA Spurzle locking tuners. USA Gibson mini humbucker in the neck. Tele pickup in the bridge. All new electronics and it's just been set up and plays and sounds and looks great. Also has a set of Schaller strap lock buttons and custom bomber themed paint job. Cash is preferred, but would trade for USA Telecaster neck, MIM Telecaster, or a B-Bender Telecaster. This guy really loves Telecaster. He
loves Telecasters.
So much that he made his Firebird into a Telecaster. Partial trade for MIM Jeez, man. Okay, yeah,
we
you
get
just want
it.
Telecaster crap.
We get it. You want a Telecaster.
So, I really think like what he's done with the paint job on this is a lot of fun. I can't tell what the graphic on the front says. It says like Miss something, and it's a pinup girl on a bomb.
Yeah, he's gone for a whole bomber theme, and there's the shark teeth or tiger face like bomber theme on the headstock, which actually kind of works. I'm kind of surprised how well it works with the reverse Tele headstock.
But actually, I realized like that's it is Tele. But that's what now the back of the body makes sense because the back of the body is just big gold letters and it just says thanks.
It like when he says big, Steve means it takes up the entire back of the body. And this is how I feel about this guitar. I'm not a big fan of the front of the guitar. I want the back to be the front. Mm-hmm. I want that giant hand lettered thanks to just cover the entire front, and people while I'm playing a show to just shout out, "You're welcome." Like that is so cool to me. That giant thanks. I don't know if it's a reference to something, some sort of like bomber culture or something like that.
No, I think that is specific. I think that is kind of like a bomber culture, like that a bomb would say like thanks on it or you're welcome or something because it was like a joke, like, "Hi, here you go."
Right. I just like it. And I like the lettering. I like the art of the lettering way better than I like the art that's on the front of the guitar. And it's giving me ideas for my my Bullet Mustang project that I keep painting over with the paint pens. I'd like to do some big messages on it, and just writing thanks really big is a ton of fun, in my opinion. I don't think I would have as much room to do it as this guitar has, but man, it just looks cool. I would totally have this on the front of a guitar. And it even works with the red, white, and blue striping too.
Yeah, actually, I didn't mention the red, white, and blue off the bat. I don't know if you did, but I think that's the whole theme now. When I first loaded this on, I just loaded it because I thought it was funny.
Right.
And I didn't actually read the description too closely past like, oh, Tele-Bird, okay, whatever. And I picked out a couple pictures, but now it all kind of makes sense, and I definitely like. It's still goofy.
Yeah.
But. Okay, like, what band do you need to be in to play this guitar? Like, what does your band need to be doing?
Classic rock, I guess.
I was actually thinking.
Like
I was
who?
thinking like rockabilly.
Rockabilly, I guess, but
Even though I mean it's a Firebird, so it's a little off-brand.
I don't know,
from
like
that angle.
the front of the guitar, like it just screams dad rock to me, and it's just like some dude who's got a model plane hobby.
Right.
But the back of the guitar is just so quirky that if that was on the front, anyone could be playing it.
I just wish it wasn't.
And it would be like an indie rock sort of thing.
I just wish it wasn't upside down. I guess it's not upside down if you flip your guitar over.
Yeah.
Like if you were to have the guitar facing, like flipping it towards the crowd. But
I guess
still strapped
I think
on.
that's what it's for. I think that's what you figured it out, Steve.
Oh.
So the guy is wearing it. And then when the audience applauds, he flips it over and it says thanks. I think that's the purpose.
This has suddenly become the best mannered instrument that we've ever talked about on this show.
That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm totally into this guitar now. I want to write thanks in huge letters on the back of
every guitar
now.
Oh my gosh.
Or like instead of thanks, like what else could you write? Like you could write applause and have it be like an applause sign.
At your church, do people clap between the songs?
Yeah.
It's just thanks.
Thanks.
And then you're gonna get some nasty comment like, "I wasn't applauding for you."
I could, because I stand kind of behind the worship leader and he wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh.
I could flip it around and have like an applause sign there, and he would be like, "Whoa, like people are really into that," and it would be like my little secret with the audience. The ones who can see that far. We have
Are your services filmed at all?
They are. I don't know if they publish them. I don't know if that's for proprietary. Well, I mangled that word.
Proprietary?
That's
I don't know. You don't
posterity.
Posterity.
It's too late.
You don't stream your live services, or do you?
I'm
don't
not
like
sure.
do a live stream?
I know that there's a camera back there, but they don't film. They don't film the worship. I know that.
Oh, okay.
I know that because of licensing.
Yeah. You got to pay extra for that.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. Let's call it a night.
All right, this last that we did the last ad. This song was sent to us by Matthew Chittum. He says, "Just a random song."
Chittum, I hardly know him.
Why? This is just a random song I made. Feel free to use it. Feel free to use if mix is okay. Yeah, like that's ever stopped us before.
Oh, gosh, it could be just a wall of static for 30 minutes. I would literally still play it at the end of an episode.
I don't know. At that length, I think maybe
I'd do it.
Okay.
I would do it.
I call it Starry Night by the Sea. Thanks, guys. I'll just say if you want to send us 30 minutes of static, you should send it at the lowest audio resolution possible so we won't be suspicious.
Yeah, just make it bit tunes, All right, later, guys.
Bye. Don't encourage people to send you static.